Hey guys, I just wanted to reach out to you and let you know that Surewinder is still selling amazing products. Some of you guys have been dragging your feet for whatever reason. If your shoulder hurts, do not waste time. Pull the trigger. I just bought 4 or 5 of them, and we had 2 guys out. You know how much it cost me to pay for 2 guys being out with bad shoulders? We just pulled the trigger and we said, listen, everybody's going to have one on a truck. It's mandatory. You got to use it. Don't hesitate. Don't wait till your guys go down. It's going to cost you more. Buy a Surewinder.
What's up, y'all? This is Ryan with Torsion Talk Podcast. Tamara is on her game today. Just want to say, we just got through talking about how she wakes up and throws her hair up and looks majestic every day. And she was bummed because it wasn't recorded. So there you go.
All right. Thank you for that.
Recorded. Tamara, what have you been up to?
Man, I've been kicking butt lately. Yeah.
Listen, Tamara and I got a divorce.
We did not.
I'm just kidding. No, but Tamara is been promoted. Is that a demotion or is it a promotion?
I mean, I have no idea.
So Tamara is, for a while, I've kind of felt guilty for like introducing her as like my assistant because she's so much more. She's like life support. She's like, I don't know. She's
Therapist.
a godsend. Therapist. Yeah.
We all need those.
I can call and complain. Yeah. I mean, it's great, right? She keeps all my secrets and holds them above me and leverages them for like gifts and whatever. No, I'm just kidding. But she has helped me transform and start a lot of things, including GDU. And I'm pretty sure the guys appreciate her more than me. So we're just officially making that her gig. So she's running GDU. Yeah. Wow. Huge. So she is the CEO of Garage Door U.
Oh, I'm totally changing my email signature immediately.
You should. But super proud of you, Tamara. Seriously.
Absolutely.
You've grown and developed so much. And like, that was one of the best business decisions I ever made was bringing you on.
Oh, I didn't know we were going to have an emotional conversation, right? I'm unprepared.
Yeah. This is it. I'm just super proud. I feel like I haven't talked to you in a few days. Normally we're like constantly bantering back and forth, but we hired Jen, and Tamara and Jen hit it off, and Jen's my new assistant, and she's legit. She's very different than Tamara in some ways, but also very similar. And yeah, it's been good. I can tell her and Tamara are hitting it off, and Tamara's helped out a lot in getting her adjusted to dealing with me, which takes a long time. So we're not here to talk all about Tamara, although that would be a good episode I don't know of itself, I think.
Let's do that.
Tamara did get a new car. Did we mention that already?
No, not on the podcast. But
Congratulations.
I did. Thank you.
What did you get?
I got a 2020 Toyota RAV4 all-wheel drive hybrid.
Very nice.
Wow.
I know.
Hybrid. What does that mean? You don't have to plug it in?
I don't have to plug it in. So it charges itself when you drive a certain way, it goes into charging mode. So yeah, I get like 40 miles to the gallon, which is sweet.
Wow.
That's amazing.
It is amazing.
Now, you had a tank.
I did. So I had a 2000 Toyota 4Runner limited lifted with my
2020, a 2000.
2000. Yes. Did I say 2020? It was an old clunker. It was great though.
I was just reiterating.
Yeah, it's a big change. I have seat warmers now. Everything.
Oh yeah.
It's electronic. Like, it's just amazing. So good. Big upgrade.
Life has changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always a plus when everything works.
Yes, it is. Like you just get in and it just does stuff. It's
From
so
a
good.
business owner's perspective.
Yeah.
All right. So, which never happens. Proud to introduce someone that I call a friend, and I feel like out of all the people in the industry, he and I probably share values very closely. We've talked about some of our challenges. We're in similar boats. We deal with similar stresses. We view things very similarly. We have, just based on my outlook, I think we have similar personalities. We try to do everything with integrity and excellence. We fall short, and we're pretty open about our shortcomings, both of us, which is pretty cool. But out of everybody in the industry, I would say Derek and I are probably the most similar personalities, and I really enjoy talking to him, and he's been on the show before. I'm really excited to get caught up and kind of see where you're at. So Derek Lyons, how are you?
Yeah, dude, I'm awesome. I didn't know we were going to have 2 emotional moments right out of the gate.
Yeah. Hey, dude, I'm just in the mood. I told you guys I was going to dim the lights and get in the mood and lower
I feel like we all
voice.
needed this.
Man.
Like we're all like, we need some encouragement today. And look, here
Therapy.
we are.
We all do need encouragement. That's right.
Thursday therapy.
I love it.
I like
Although
it.
this is rolling out on Tuesday, but we're recording on Thursday. So Thursday therapy.
Yes.
Yep, I like it.
Episode title.
So Derek, first of all, how's business?
It's really challenging right now, to be 100% honest. We're in a very challenging place, but it's kind of one of those like pivotal moments in business where you're like in a place to where if everything can fall into place, it's just like to the moon. But if it doesn't fall into place, like you're probably going to lose everything, so it's like, that pivotal moment in business.
Yeah. What's funny is I've had a bunch of those, and I feel like I'm in a very similar situation to you. I take a lot of pride in not overdoing it when the market's hot and going all in when the market's cold. It's kind of a little thing that I do. And so we went all in during COVID, like all in, and it paid off. And then things started getting, that was great. We leveled up a lot. And then I was like, okay, we can pull back a little bit. So we started pulling back when things were getting really good. And I was trying to prepare for another down season. I didn't expect it so quickly after COVID.
Really?
But staying true to myself and the adventure of being the business owner of Aaron Overhead Doors, especially, I'm doubling down again. So
Same.
Hopefully it's not too early and I haven't fully recovered from, doubling down during COVID. So we'll see. We'll see. This is probably, I'm at one of the most risky places where we're launching a new location. We're bringing on an office manager, although we'll have 2 office managers because,
Awesome.
Tisha, who's been on the show before, just put her notice in. She's leaving in, I think, July. She got diagnosed with cancer for the 3rd time in 3 years.
Oh, no.
Yeah, man.
Oh, my gosh.
That's tough.
That is.
My heart is broken. And, she's like a work mother. She gets on my nerves like nobody else can. But I wouldn't want to do it with anyone else,
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You genuinely love someone and you fight through it twice with them and you support them. And the 3rd time's like, this one's a little bit of a harder blow than the other 2. And, but she's a diamond, bro. She's a diamond, and you don't find people like that very often. So when they put their notice in and tell you that, she's irreplaceable. But I'm trying to do the best I can to replace her. So we're hiring for an office manager now just because something happens and she's not able to fulfill that time period. And
Sure.
And so I'm going to carry 2 pretty big payrolls. And I'm okay with that. Even if I got to take out loans or whatever, like, obviously I gotta be a good business person, but at the same time, I don't want her if this is her last 6 months or so, I don't want her struggling financially or a year or whatever. So
Right.
we're going to do whatever we can to
That's awesome.
transition and make her as comfortable as possible with the process. So that's my goal for 2023.
Wow.
And
Man.
we're taking on a big load with launching a new location, doing that. We're trying to restructure our organization to be more efficient. So hiring another office person when we really probably, for efficiency, we should do it. For money, we probably shouldn't with everything else we got going on. But at the same time, I feel you, bro. Like,
Yeah.
You're
some pretty
having to make tough decisions and difficult times. But I believe if you lead with your heart and you plan with your mind, that even if the negative hits, you're still okay.
Yeah.
You can figure.
Yeah. I think we're pretty similar because like we're kind of doubling down now too. And when I say doubling down, like I'm actually literally right after this podcast doing a wire transfer for a loan to try to pay off a bunch of stuff and pay everything to keep us running. But I think that's what kind of separates us is like when the pressure gets tough, we don't like just like, oh man, we're gonna have to close up shop or something. Like we actually do the opposite and go all in on it. And so that's kind of what we're doing right now. And then what's even crazier is last week we had to lay off one of our longest standing employees to try to free up some payroll. And it was kind of the same situation. She was like, she's been with me for 5 years. We got on each other's nerves all the time, but we knew each other so well that literally she couldn't say anything. And I knew exactly what she was thinking. And I knew when she was annoyed with me. But I knew at the end of the day, we were both loyal to each other and it was going to be all right. But yeah, we had to lay her off last week. And so that was probably the toughest, or not probably, it was the toughest conversation and decision I've ever had to make in business to this point. But it goes into what you're thinking when you've got a plan, you've got to do the right business moves and what you need to do for the business, but you also have to lead with your heart as well. I love that.
Bro, man, I just feel like we gotta take a deep breath for a second, man. That was pretty intense. Like we came out of the gate so positive and encouraging. And like, geez, the weight of being a business owner. Like, I don't think people understand. Like I'll leave work and I'll go watch my kid play soccer at practice. All these dudes who have jobs are all cutting up and having fun. I'm doing interviews, or making moves and trying to make phone calls or doing a freaking Zoom call with somebody. And they're like, bro, why are you working so hard? I'm like, dude, I don't really like, I don't get to shut it off at 5 o'clock and come to practice, this is part of it. And, the whole work on your business, in your business. Well, when it gets going, you do whatever it takes. And that means that like, whatever it takes. And so I'm a whatever it takes type of person. And, I'll give my wife a warning when I see the signs. I'll be like, babe, whatever it takes, it's happening. And and my estimation is 2 to 3 months. And she knows, right? She knows that I'm about to be unavailable for a lot of stuff. But I'm still going to do my best to make all the kids stuff. And then I'm going to try my best to take her on some dates on a Saturday night or whatever, right? And try to make that happen. But the rest of it, it's tough because it may require 70, 80 hours a week or whatever. Pay cut, whatever. So we are whatever it takes to have people. My wife's a survivor and she can go in survival mode and we both can. And it's nice to have someone back you like that and have a spouse. But yeah, everyone listening to this probably relates, right?
You're a business owner
through it now. They've been through it most likely.
What
Unless they just started.
What are you guys doing to kind of cope with that burden? Have you is there anything you found that's really helpful when you're going through seasons like that to kind of keep yourself grounded and sane?
For me, there's a few things. Number one, his technical title is he's a high performance coach, but he's really like mindset focused. I hired him back in June. And Ryan, I think you remember last year when I lost a ton of people and I was back in the field, and the mental like ramifications from that, season was extremely difficult. And so I hired him to kind of help me reset my mind, which he's been absolutely phenomenal. But I still meet with him twice a month now. But if you came to me and said, "Hey, Derek, you've got to quit every coaching, avenue you've got. I mean, slim down your finances," I would keep him at all costs. I mean, he's like a lifesaver when it comes to like my mindset. So that's probably the biggest thing. But another thing is working out. A lot of people are like, "Man, you're awesome, like getting out there and getting it and working out and working on your," and I'm like, "No, I do it because I have to. Like, I really do." Last night got done with the day really late. I was supposed to volunteer at the church, and I ended up, after working all day, I just needed a reset. So I went and worked out for a couple hours, and then I think I had showed up and there was only like 20 minutes left, but that's, I prioritize that because I know I need it. I know it's going to reset me. But then also, like my wife is, amazing. Like Ryan was just talking about his wife. Like, what would we do without our wives? Because she's kind of a reset for me too.
Spin in circles, literally.
Yeah.
Spin in circles. Like we definitely wouldn't be as successful as we are, even though maybe we're not as successful as we want to be. But it's amazing how we can be in the dumps and our wife can come over and like pat us on the back and be like, "I believe in you," and all of a sudden you're like, Superman. You rip your shirt off.
100%.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And she slaps me from time to time when I get crazy, or I'm being a big baby. She'll slap me and she'll be like, "Yeah,
we do.
Oh yeah, yeah." And then lastly for me is the faith aspect. Like, I don't know what I'd do without my times in the Bible and in the Word in the morning. And sometimes it's just like an all out cry fest of like, I just want to quit everything. God, I need you. But those are probably like the biggest things for me, and how I kind of try to stay. And even then, even with all that, I still feel like I'm, swerving all over the road half the time. But yeah.
Isn't entrepreneurship like the most humbling thing you could ever do?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like no matter how good of a business person you are, it always finds a way to kick you in the teeth and like show you you're not truly in control.
Oh yeah.
It's like,
it's like the day you're like, "Yeah, man, all right, I got this." Like, yeah, we're moving.
Things are running like really smooth.
Yeah.
And then the bottom drops out. Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, throwing the money, and then the next day, I'll help.
Hey, look at all this cash, we've made it. We're gonna buy this and this, and then it's like you go buy something, you regret it instantly because something just happened.
I'm glad it's not just me.
It is not just you. So yeah, it's a lot.
Yep.
Anyway, bro. So I saw that you were actually closing a location down.
Yep. Yeah, we closed up our Kimberling City. Yeah. When we lost everyone last year, we still weren't able, even when we lost everyone last year, we didn't have enough resources to dedicate locally. And so we couldn't even we couldn't keep up with local demand. And so what was happening is we're sending people out to where our second location is to service and repair and do all that. But it was just taking up so much time to do that. And so it financially and resources and everything, it just made sense to close it down and focus our resources on building, local backup. So yeah, we closed it down at the beginning of the year, or beginning of last year, I should say. Well, sorry, I say that. No, it was really probably around, probably in the summer. So yeah, that stunk because it was actually like when we had the resources, it was super profitable. It was a great area, great location. But there was just, it did not make financial or resource sense for us. So yeah, that really stunk. That was one of those hits to the chest.
Yeah. So if you had to, like, if you didn't have to close it, you wouldn't, but you're doing it to just kind of like streamline things and make it a little bit easier. Now, what's interesting is this will be an interesting test, because I was talking to Adam Weber, and you know that I launched that Milton location for us. That Milton location did very well for us our first year, and we're really excited about the second year growth.
Yeah.
But what was interesting with my conversation with Adam was he said do a 3-year lease and don't renew it, and go somewhere else.
Really?
And I was like, what? I was like, why would I do that? And like every market has a market cap, right?
Sure.
And you can own that market cap, like majority of it. You can have majority of the market share in there. But eventually you'll cap out, right?
Sure.
Maybe it's 50 or 60%, maybe it's 40% because there's a bunch of door dealers in there, right? But 40% is the biggest piece of the pie. And no matter how hard you try, eventually you're going to start having like diminished dollars on your advertising to drive traffic to yourself. So, but the fact that we were able to launch a location and make a splash and do as well as we did, you can't do that again in Milton, right?
Yeah.
Like,
no, that's true.
Can't. So he was like, you go in there, you earn the trust, you build the market, and then you leave and you go like, a neighboring town like Roswell, which I think you're from, right?
Yeah, that area. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm technically originally from like Woodstock, Ackworth, area. So.
Yeah. So his idea was you're not going to fall off. You're still going to get business from there because you built trust and you had the brand and whatever. But every year you're there, there's like a diminished value, especially if you accomplish generating majority market share. So
it's fascinating.
It is a fascinating approach. And it's very different than I had ever looked at it before. And if you do that every 3 years into a new town, you got 3 of them going and you're rotating, you could really do some damage. And you're not just continuously adding to your bottom line while also having a presence in all these different markets.
Logically, it makes perfect sense. And I do like the model of you don't have the additional expenses. You're not like adding locations and more buildings and more leases and all that. So it makes sense all the way around. I've just never even considered or even heard that. So that doesn't surprise me coming from Adam, dude. Every time I listen to him, I'm just like,
he's got all these ideas, but I think he just sits in an office and reviews data and like draws up ideas like this. And that's the difference between working on your business and working in it, right?
Yeah.
You don't work in his business ever. Like I'm pretty sure he comes in at like 10 o'clock in the morning. I don't know. Maybe Adam's listening. I'm making fun. I don't know.
But we're flipping off his
he could, right? Like he could if he wanted to. He's got managers, he's got all this stuff. And I think that's the lifestyle he's trying to get to is, his dad put in the dues, he's putting in the dues, and if the company's super successful and employees are happy, then mission accomplished, right? Like how
absolutely
measure business.
Yeah. I mean, I think all of us, well, I say all of us, but all of us should have a goal in mind that we're trying to get to, a lifestyle we're trying to live. I think if you don't have that in mind, man, it's kind of like you said earlier, you're just spinning your wheel. You're just going to keep going in circles until you figure out what you're actually aiming for and what lifestyle you actually want to live. So, I mean, kudos to him.
Yeah, for sure. So how long have you been in business, Derek?
8 years.
Okay. So we're about the same.
I think we started the same year.
2015, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I look at Adam Weber and you got a business that's been around for like 40, 50 years, right? You look at some of these other companies that are like really successful. Jeff Sanford's company. So I think Jeff Sanford's company has been around for a long time. So in the grand scheme of things, it's like, where do you like, how long before you get to that point where you're there? Can you accelerate it? or do you just have to eat it and keep growing incrementally year after year and
Yeah.
be patient, right? Which
Mm,
is hard for entrepreneurs,
yeah, it is.
right? Because we want to
Yeah.
grow, we want to build. So how do you grow and build in a seven-year-old company? Really, this is our 8th year, and
Yep.
also maintain cash flow and do a good job of having a great place to work.
Yeah. That's interesting you brought this up, because I've been spending a lot of time thinking about it, because a lot of the long-term companies in my area that have been around for, 30, 40, plus years, the plumbing companies, the HVAC companies and things like that, looking at them and seeing how they grew, and they were so grassroots in the beginning, and it was usually the owner in the field for 10 to 15 years, and then slowly adding people, and then 30 years later, I mean, the owner's still there. But it's hard, because like looking at that model, I'm like, I ain't all about that. Like if you told me in 15 years from now, I'm still here every day and doing 70 hours, and I might have to be in the field from time to time, I'm like, I'm out, guys. Like, but I have a huge amount of respect for those guys and those companies that they can have that longevity. But I've been asking myself that same question in business of like, how do you grow sustainably to where you can sustain that cash flow and keep that oxygen flowing in your company? Because I think, again, that goes back to the similarities between you and I. Like, we want to get where we're going. And that's the difficulty we're at right now, is trying to manage the cash flow with how we want to grow. And I don't have an answer for it yet, but from everything I've seen in the long-term companies, what I've seen thus far is like managing that and keeping it small, and keeping it, or not small, but what's the word? Maybe keeping it more basic, maybe might be the word, for the first, 15 or so years. And then they just, slowly build from there. But I definitely don't have the answer, and I'm still trying to figure it out each and every day. But I think
Well,
it's
the
a great.
game's changed too, though. So let's
Oh,
talk
yeah.
about this for a second, because here, I think that would work. That 10, 15 years of grinding it out and all that, like that would work.
Yep.
However, guess what's shifting in our industry right now? Big time. You're having
Labor.
There's a lot of people doing roll-up strategies, private equity firms, you got
Yep.
A1. So
Yeah.
if you have a mentality that I'm going to grind it out for 10 or 15 years,
Sure.
and then one of those companies come in and drop millions of dollars in branding and advertising, that just depleted your efforts.
Yep.
Right. But then
Yep.
how do you compete
100%.
with them on a money standpoint? You have to have some urgency of growth, right? Because now that the private equity money is in the industry, and there's quite a few of them that I've talked to who are ready to freaking get after it and buy up a bunch of companies.
Yep.
That puts more stress and pressure on the companies who don't take private equity money.
Yeah.
Right.
It's very true.
So you're in this like weird period of time where, yes, I think the slow, steady growth is definitely the best way to be healthy. And but at the same time, like, let's be realistic. Like, garage door guys historically are not business people.
Mm-hmm.
They were service people. They were technicians. They were installers. They were, whatever. And they thought they could do it better. And so they went out and started a business. And in some cases, they do it better. Did I say do?
You did.
You totally said do, man.
Yeah. So anyway, what are some things that you've learned that if you could go back to 2015 and be like, yo, Derek, I'm going to give you a secret. Don't do this. What would that be?
Yeah. Don't do this. Honestly, I think the biggest thing would have been opposite of that, of what to do, because I was the tech turned owner, you know, I was the tech that worked for other companies for, you know, and then started my own company. And so I was the total tailgater. I was the guy on Craigslist, you know, when I first started out doing springs for $100 and undercutting everybody here locally. Cause I just thought that's what you did, you know? And so honestly, a lot of my advice to myself would have been, hey, you know, don't come out of the gate charging the cheapest price, like charge what you need to provide for your family. Cause I did the opposite. I just undercut everybody. I didn't make any money for the first, probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 years. I probably didn't pay myself more than 30,000-40,000 for the first 3 or 4 years of the company. I mean, it was ridiculous. And so I would be looking back
My
at
wife
myself
would
and be
not
like,
have allowed that.
yeah.
I love her dearly, but that's part of my motivation too. She likes fine things, and that's okay.
Deserves them.
She deserves them. If
But-
she's married to me, bro.
Yeah. Constantly in debt. Just
I love it. But I love that though, because you knew when you started out the lifestyle you needed, the lifestyle you wanted, and that's what you started your company out on. And that's where I failed, is that I didn't have that. I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know what I was trying to achieve. I just was like, well, I'm going to start a business because I've always wanted to, and this is a great time. And then I learned a lot of hard lessons over the years, and my family struggled a lot over the years because of that. And so, you know, I would have totally went back and aimed at the lifestyle that I wanted to have in my family, what I wanted my family to have, because I would have had it a lot quicker. And there would have been a lot less stress on my family. And it's not, and I think that's the big thing is, you know, people think they're doing it for the customers. But the light bulb moment for me was when I realized I was under enough stress that I was willing to make a change. And that's what resulted in the change in my business, is the stress I was under. And so I finally just made myself increase prices. And what I found out is the customers didn't care. I didn't get any pushback. And then I got really angry at myself because for all these years, you know, it was mindset. It's all in my mind that I was saying to myself, they're not paying it. Well, the customers never told me they weren't going to pay it. I was talking for the customers. And so when we finally did increase pricing, man, I was mad at myself for all those years of just, you know, underpricing our products and all that. So that was a hard lesson for me. And it still is to this day, because I think the company would be further along if I would have started it with a better mindset. But on the don't do side,
gold, dude. That's gold.
Yeah.
Like, thank you so much for sharing that, because I think there's a lot of people that follow the podcast that need to hear it. Number one, and number two, there's a lot of people starting businesses. I'm talking a lot of guys who are running out, starting their own thing. This is, you know, to get a lesson from somebody who's almost 8 years in on what they would have done differently, charge higher pricing, support your family, you know, and it doesn't have to be like, how cheap can we live? Right? Like your kids deserve to play sports, and your wife deserves to be able to get her nails done or hair done without stressing out about money. And you deserve to take care of yourself, both with health and whatever. You know, if Derek Lyons wants to get a pedicure, Derek Lyons should
I'm all
get a
about that.
Right? Yeah. I love massages.
Yeah.
I spoil myself a little bit. I do a massage every month, hour and a half.
Me too.
Tissue, full body, bro. Like,
Absolutely.
there's certain things that I just have to do every month that help me stay focused. And I've learned that massages are a big deal for me.
Yeah. I love that, man. Yeah, no, my wife and I actually do monthly massages too. I'm all about it.
I bet.
I love it. Yeah.
We're talking massages, right? I'm just kidding. Just kidding. I don't know many husband-wife combos that do massages, so I was just going down that path. But you were saying
awesome.
that y'all do couples massages.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Okay, gotcha,
I mean, I'm not saying we don't do the other, but you know, anyways, it's not that kind of podcast. But
we're going Joe Rogan style. All right, tell me a little bit more about that. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I love it.
Consistency in everything. including price, reliability, quality, not just quality, but great quality control. These are things that describe Somer USA. Somer's not some startup company, not one that you need to be worried about going out of business in the near future. Somer and their family of businesses are $200 million companies. They're in over 100 countries, and they have locations in 20 countries. This is a large organization who stands behind their product and works through integrity. And there's not another company out there willing to drop what they're doing and help you out like Somer. These guys are awesome. Not only have they been loyal to the Torsion Talk podcast, they've been loyal to the technicians and the owners of the companies who install their product. In my opinion, if you're not at least offering Somer as an additional option, you're cheating yourself. Listen, first-time dealers, I've got a special for you. If you buy 10 or more Somers between now and the end of the season 6, while supplies last, we will offer you free shipping. You have no more excuses. The prices are great. The product is amazing. Go check out Somer USA and order 10 for free shipping.
All right. So you wouldn't come in so cheap. Did I hear that correct?
Yeah,
and you
for sure.
Based on the lifestyle that you want.
Yeah. Well, and here's the deal. Like if you're just coming out of the gate and you're just charging $3,000 just because you can, I don't know if I agree with that. But what my message is, go through the work of figuring out the lifestyle you want to live, your family wants to live, what it's going to take to support that lifestyle, and reverse engineer your business and what you need to make on that. To have no plan is stupid as well. So you can be the highest priced company out there making billions of dollars, but if you have no plan for it, I mean, I think that's just as stupid as the other. But it's just the plan part. Like, plan for it, have a plan in place to what you want in life. And it goes back to mindset. And I think that was, and it still is, probably 90% of business is mindset, and having the right mindset. And most of us live on autopilot every single day. We're just making decision after decision on autopilot, not even realizing why we're making the decisions.
Or not
and
making decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that was me too for a long time. So
we've become numb, and we're afraid that we're going to make the wrong decision, so we don't make any, which is worse than making a wrong decision in some cases.
Yep. Absolutely.
No decision is a decision. And if you're trying to grow, that's the thing that's going to stifle you the most.
Yep. Yeah, I'm an Enneagram 9. So I'm like the peacekeeper, but I also hate conflict. Now, obviously, 8 years in business, I've really learned how to do better on conflict. But what I will do is, if it's a really tough decision, I'll think about it. Well, then I'll think about it, but I won't come up with a resolution. And so I'm telling myself, oh, I'll think about it later. Well, what happens later? It's the same cycle, and it just keeps repeating itself, and it's inaction. I'm not doing anything. So now if I find myself thinking a thought, I will make myself stop and say, what's my action? What am I doing with this thought? And I will make myself perform an action and based on it. Otherwise, I just get stuck in that cycle of, oh, I'll think about it. And it's what it is it's fear. And so I have an emotions wheel here.
Yeah, I just got exposed to that. That's brand new for me.
Yeah, oh, it's life-changing, man. But 90% of like my emotions come from fear, is what I've learned the past few months. And when I'm not making a decision, 9 times out of 10, it's because I'm living in that fear. I'm afraid of what's going to happen if I make this choice. But the problem is not making the choice is making it worse. So,
right. So I'm the opposite. I thrive in fear, and I jump into it. Right. So like it's a problem though. Like it's equal a problem as you have. right? So if as a kid, if the biggest guy in the building came up to me and I was afraid to fight him, I would just punch him as quick as humanly possible. Because that was how when you have fight or flight, I am your prototypical fighter, 100%,
Gotcha.
right? When I'm faced with a business decision and it's like, hey, Ryan, we're going to run out of money in 6 months. I'm like, cool, let's double down. Let's ramp up SEO. Let's do some more AdWords. I'm going to go knock on doors. Like,
Yep.
and they're like, dude, you're about to spend more money. I'm like, yes, go. And,
Yep.
so I'm all in. Like when I see fear, a lot of times I don't even pause. I just jump. And a lot of times it's a negative, because if I would just wait a little bit, process maturely,
Gotcha.
and then be like, okay, I want to do this. Is that really wise? But I can modify that to maybe not be as aggressive and still have a better outcome. Where I can, so we're similar, but we're the opposite on how we deal with fear. I jump and you pull back.
Yeah.
Which is, neither one is right or wrong at different points of time, but both, if not treated properly, can be damaging, right?
We're works in progress.
We had that conversation in GDU recently, if you recall, about you were telling them about removing emotion from the decision-making process and just kind of chewing on it for a second, but then actually making a decision after thinking about it logically. So I think that,
That's good.
Yeah. And I would say I'm good at that, like 25% of the time. The other times I'm allowing fear to drive my decision of just head first diving in, right? And so I'm trying to get better at that too, and not allow that emotion to trigger those decisions. And so, like, prime example of like dumbing this down, you go to like timeshare, right? Those people are like the best closers in the world. I don't know where they find them. And they're like, hey, you can stay for $350 for 4 nights, but you have to attend this like 4-hour class, right? And then afterwards, they're like, okay, you have to come sit over here with me, and hey, and they pitch you this idea, and then you're like, no, we're not interested. You try to get up and walk away, and they're like, but we just gave you this vacation for $350, and like then they start injecting fear that you're going to lose out on this opportunity and blah blah blah. And so anytime someone applies a timetable to something, now that's a trigger for me to pull back. So I'm like, I'm not interested. And they'll be like, why aren't you interested? Because you're trying to force a decision based on fear of loss, and I don't operate that way. And I used to. So back in the day, I'd be like, what do you mean I'm going to lose it? All right, here, like, so now I'm completely different. And then when I can recognize it, I can pull back. But when I don't recognize it or I act too quickly is when I usually do the most amount of damage.
What I love about that, though, is you did the work of finding out, hey, this is a problem, and you allowed yourself to realize it was a problem, and you allowed yourself to work on it. Because most people, that's the problem, is they never realize it, and it's just cycle after cycle after cycle after cycle.
As a business owner, you got to get better.
Yep.
I'll tell you something that we're doing right now that I really think is powerful here at such and such and over at Aaron Overhead Doors. We're creating projects and KPIs. Okay. So everyone has KPIs, and their job is to track those KPIs and report them to me on a monthly basis. And they're simple. It's not like anything crazy, but it's kind of like I drew up the KPIs not for me, but for them. The KPIs are designed to have them focus on what I want them to focus on, not to like measure as much of like how good they're doing or bad they're doing. I think everybody here does a good job. I just want them to do what they're doing with a purpose and be able to see the results that come from it. So that's why we created KPIs.
That's good.
So everybody now has 2 or 3 KPIs that they track, that they know Now, when I sit down with my one-on-ones, I can be like, hey, I'm looking over your KPIs. They look good. What have you learned from them? How have you improved from them? Do you think it's possible that we could get from 42% to 43%? And how would you do that? 1% better between now and the next time we meet, right? And you can have like practical conversation about measurable results, even if they are not directly related to results, but directly related to productivity or measuring the success of something. And then we're also taking, I'm making a big deal for education. Each one of our employees have to have a project every quarter. And that project is, how do you get better at your job and the tools that you use on a daily basis? And so quarter one is, here is all the software that we use, and we divide it up. I'm like, Tamara, you're going to do Trainual. You're going to do this one. You're going to do this one. You're going to do Service Titan. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. And at the end of the quarter, you're all going to present to everyone what you learned. How do we use this technology? Where are we not using it that we should be? How are we using it incorrectly? And like integrations, automation that we might be able to utilize. And then those presentations, everyone's going to learn it. So everybody's going to sit there and be like, wow, that's really good. And that's cool. And they even came up with the idea of like grading the presentation, like having like a, hey, how did we do? And everybody kind of grade each person on their performance of how detailed it was, and you're talking 30, 45-minute presentation for each person. Yeah. That's it. Awesome. And so, but they become an expert at that. And then the next quarter, we're going to focus on like, how do we get better at the skill part of our job, right? Like if you're a service professional or an SEO copywriter or whatever, like, is there a conference you can go to? Is there an educational course that we can subscribe to? Like, what is it? So that's something that we're doing this year that I think is hopefully going to pay off. When you do something that big, for me, that's kind of big. Accountability and consistency is my biggest struggle. Holding everybody accountable to that consistently. Tough.
I think it's tough for most businesses. I mean, there's so many things coming at you each and every day. It's really hard to focus on one thing for a quarter. I totally get that, but I love that idea though, because that's engaging for your staff, because they're focusing on something. And for me, when I focus on something, I get engaged. That's how I know when I get into a mode of I want to sell the business and I don't want to be a part of the business anymore, 9 times out of 10 it's because I'm not engaged in it. And I've kind of taken a back seat to it, and I just, I'm just like, whatever. But as soon as I get back into it and get into it, all of a sudden I'm engaged again. So I think that's what it creates in your employees, is it gets them engaged, and they also get to own something. I think that's an awesome idea.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I came up with that all by myself.
The proud look on your face is amazing.
Rarely happens, dude. I steal everything.
I hear you.
For me, I felt like this was really good.
This is really good.
It was well received by the team.
When I have an original idea, I will let you know. All other ideas are not mine.
I love
that. Really good about giving credit, though.
Yeah, I do give credit where I get the information. And I will say that like EOS has the rock system, which is basically what we're implementing. So I kind of stole that a little bit too.
Yeah.
But I'm going to give myself credit. I don't know EOS, so
I forget who said it, but I think it was a philosopher, but basically that it might have been Solomon even. I don't know. I might be getting too deep, but there's nothing new under the sun. And really at this point, like we're really regurgitating ideas from the past however long. And so although someone could sit here and say, hey, you're copying their idea, it's like, well, yeah, but where did they get it from? And where did that person get it from? And we can just keep going down the line. And so I don't think I think
there's a real challenge for people with what's that syndrome?
Imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome, because they will purposely not do something because someone else has done it before. And if
Right.
everything's been done or thought of, then
we might as well just all go home.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I'm pretty sure that someone has talked about every single thing we're talking about today at some point. And so it's just regurgitated, but also like, I mean, for me, I consider it a compliment when someone copies of me or when someone copies something we're doing in the business. That's actually something I was talking to our general manager about the other day, is because when we first started this company, you know, we were trendsetters for the first like 6-7 years in a really strong way. I mean, we were doing things completely different, but now 8 years in, lots of companies around here are doing the exact same things we're doing. They've started doing the same software and they've started offering packages and all this stuff that no one else was doing. And so now other people are copying us. But the funny thing is it's companies that are way bigger than we are. And I love it. I'm just like, I see an ad that gets copied off of ours and I'm just like, ha, that's awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Like, it's a compliment to me.
Yeah.
So
It's
I
like
take it as a compliment.
validation that you're doing something right, or
Yeah.
that you're able to figure it out before the big guys.
Well, and you know, it's funny that you said that. I think you hit the nail on the head where it's like, it lets you know you're doing something right. Because let's be honest, 9 times out of 10, we're like, God, I hope this works. You know?
Fingers and pray.
Yeah. And so when something works, you're just like, oh, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Jesus.
100%.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the future. We've talked a little bit about the past. We talked about the present a little bit.
Yep.
What's the future of Derek Lyons and your company? Was Garage Door Guy, right? Garage Door Guys?
Garage Door Guy. Yep.
Garage Door Guy. So what's the future?
Yeah. Well, next week we're moving into a new location. It's about 3 times the size of our current one. It's a 10,000 square foot warehouse on 5 acres. And so that's good.
Get it,
Yeah,
bro.
man.
All
Dude, it's
in, you said, right?
I told you, man. Like, literally,
I love it.
I'm just going to be 100% blunt on this. Like, I don't even have the money to give him the full deposit, and we're moving in next Friday. But I'm like, we're going because this is the way we're supposed to go. It's an incredible deal that I couldn't pass up. 10,000 square foot warehouse, 5 acres, $3,700 a month. It's ridiculous. Wow. And so we jumped on that. We're moving next Friday. That's going to be a huge game changer for us. There's a little bit of sadness with moving from this place just because we've put so much time and money into it to get it to where it is. But we've been rubbing shoulders for too long. So I'm really excited about that. We were able to just hire on a master tech a couple months ago. Great guy. He's got 15 years experience. He did industrial doors out of, it was a huge win for us. He worked for a couple industrial door companies out of Oregon. And he's been an incredible addition to our team. We're really happy to have him. And so he's kind of elevating our game and helping us provide some additional training. Because that's one thing we did not do well, was training. And so, I honestly am embarrassed when I look back and the things that I would ask people to do and just like, hey man, you just got to figure it out. Like, I'm a little embarrassed by that. So we're working on training, working on getting that to a better place. We've been talking with Mount Onsite this past couple weeks and month. So we're going to start sending some guys out there, which I'm pretty stoked about.
Love him.
Yeah, they've been just talking
out, bro. You better hurry up.
Yeah, that's what they said.
I just booked for March because his February class filled up like super fast for residents.
I love to hear that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. The hunger for education in our industry is 10 times what it was just 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's the thing, is that we're in our industry is a completely different landscape than it was 8 years ago. Completely different landscape. And a lot of that is because of like you and the Torsion Talk podcast and the education that you guys have been doing out of it. But like, people are catching on. People are starting to say, hey, there's another way. I don't just have to continue doing it the way everyone else has done it. And it's awesome, but it's also in a way kind of pushing me, because it's like, man, we got to constantly be moving and grooving and trying to find ways to differentiate and to keep this, keep the business in the industry moving forward. But for right now, that's the biggest things. Honestly, we're trying to figure out cash flow, all that kind of stuff, ticket averages, all that. We're working on that. So we're trying to get that underway, because there's a lot of things we want to do, but we can't do them until we get that where it needs to be. We're making progress. But honestly, we just sat down and made a 5-year plan. And there's a lot of growth involved, a lot of cool things involved. I really want to do a rebrand, and rebrand everything, because we're working with the same logos and all that we started with, and we're just a completely different company. So I want to do a rebrand in the next couple of years. So that'll be a big thing. I am working on another idea I'm not talking about, but it'll be a game changer more for our local industry. But I've been in talks with some banks and getting all that figured out. So as soon as I can get the business doing better and can get that launched, I'm pretty pumped and excited about that. So yeah, lots of things in the works, lots of things to work on.
You know what I love about you, Derek, is that you admitted earlier that you guys were going through a really tough season, but your eyes are set 5 years out still.
100%.
And you're looking at acquiring a location that's going to open up operations and make you more efficient and be able to house inventory a little bit better, receive shipments better, probably. You're talking about, advancement into something else. Like, I mean, bro, that's, staring the devil in the face and being like, I'm still going, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, that's the scary part of business, you know,
for sure,
is knowing that what you're about to do is big and it may fail, but you still do it. And that's what
I was alluding to in the beginning, when it's like, if all this falls into place, it's either going to be to the moon, or it's, I won't have anything. It's one or the other. But it's like, I feel like it's part of the calling on my life to like keep moving forward. And I'm not being an idiot, I'm not just going out and taking crazy amounts of loans out and just being stupid about it. But the others, it's calculated for sure. And there's a lot of stress involved in that, because most people, they see you, they see me, and they see people like Adam that are growing all these companies, and they think, oh man, they're killing it. What they don't see is us, like in the morning, just like about to cry, because you're like, man, I don't know how this is going to work. I don't know how this is going to fit together.
Position.
Yeah. I mean, it's real, but people don't see that side. They see the energy, they see us talking about it. But there's a very, very real other side to it of, gosh, I hope this works out.
So I'll tell you, like, people talk a lot about, that I'll have people see me out and about here, and they'll be like, man, you're crushing it. Like, good job. And I'm like, I guess you only see the good stuff. So I could see why you think that way. Right. But at the same time, I'll give you an example of some of the challenges that as a business owner, we went, I've been promising my wife a new home for, 7 years now, 8 years. And, we started the company the year that I was supposed to buy her new house. Right. And so she agreed to postpone that. And then it was like, I said, give me 2 or 3 years and we'll buy your house. Well, no bank wanted to touch me, and we were like still not making money that great. So I was like, give me 2 more years. And then I was like, all right, I need another year. And she's like, Ryan, this is never going to happen, is it? I'm like, I promised you, and I'm going to make it happen. Well, we sold our house. We rented somewhere, and we're going to build. And I got approved.
That's awesome.
And they're like, hey, I had to take this special statement loan out because our 2020 tax returns
Yep.
weren't that great,
Yep.
and credit's perfect. Like, got cash. It's like everything was perfect except
Yep.
for one of my two businesses had a crappy year during COVID, and they're dinging me for it.
Yep.
And so I'm like, okay, great. No bank's going to touch the loan. So I'm telling my wife, now we're renters. And she's
Yep.
like, oh my God, are you serious right now? She's like, I went from owning a home to being promised a dream home to now we're renting for God knows how long. And I'm like,
Yep.
well, if I do this right, we can try to build you a home, and it'll be in the right timing, whatever, we'll figure it out.
Yep.
So real estate agent has this connection with a bank. I go there. They're like, you know what? We have this special product, statement only loan. And he finagled something, got it through. I'm like, great.
That's awesome.
Like,
That's
we
awesome.
got you approved for 20%. It's a construction loan. It converts to a perm loan, like all this good stuff. I'm like, perfect. This is great. We signed the contract with the builder. The bank comes in the week we sign the contract and says, by the way, we have one small hiccup. I'm like, what's that? They're like, we need 35% down, not 20. I'm like, that's a small hiccup on a dream home. I'm like,
that is not a small hiccup.
Bank statements and everything. You know exactly how much cash I have on hand.
Oh my God.
I feel like I'm getting played. So we had cash for a pool and a fence and a gate and the down payment. And I'm like, by the time they finish building the house, we'll have additional money, and that'll give us our cushion that we need.
Yep.
Wiped it all out. And so I'm just like, oh. So you get these things like being as a business owner, right? Like if I was still employed by my old employer, it would have been no problem, right? But just because of that one little thing, you lose your leverage in the banking world. They don't
100%.
care. They don't care. They're excited if I fail, because now they're sitting on a house with like what, 60% equity or 35-40% equity.
Yep.
So they're like, I hope he doesn't pay, right? Like, land in a nice home in one of the most prestigious school districts in Georgia. So it's like, and I feared paying all that and doing all that. But what did I do? I was like, I didn't even think about it. I'm like, done.
Yeah.
Screw you. Yeah. I hate you, But that's the fear fight portion of me. I didn't even think about it. I was just like, I hate you. And I fought with them for a minute. When I realized they weren't changing their minds, I just signed off on it and ate it. But the good news is that we just got, we just closed our books. Everything's good. I should qualify for a traditional loan. And when interest rates go back down, I can refinance, and
awesome.
So we'll be good. It'll all work out.
I have not yet taken any of our financials to a bank and heard them say, wow, everything looks great. We don't need any additional information. Since starting a business, I can't even explain to you the stuff that they find.
A rectal exam is.
Oh my gosh! I'm just like working through this this private loan we're getting. It's just been like fighting tooth over nail to get all the documents in, all this stuff, and it's like, well, this number seems a little weird right here. We're gonna need 5 years of more documents, and it's like,
Here's what's even more interesting. You want me to give you a little mind bender here?
Yeah, let's hear it.
All right. So your employee that answers the phones, she can go get a mortgage for working for you.
Right.
The guy who owns the business can go to the bank and get denied. With more cash flow, and better credit.
Doesn't make sense.
Does it?
Doesn't make any sense.
Like, hey, it's okay. Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatevs.
I'll do it without you.
My daughter. Whatevs, Dad.
Yep.
So,
yep.
Anyway, Derek, as always, man, great conversation. I so much love talking to you, bro. And
likewise.
I think you and I have sent some random texts to each other. I'll be driving down the road sometimes and think about you and be like, I'm just gonna text and encourage my boy today. So love you to death, dude. And
love you too, man.
No doubt. Stay in prayer, keep making those good decisions, and If I can ever be any support or help, please let me know. And good luck, man. Keep me posted on the warehouse and all the moves you're making. Maybe we'll have you back on after you get settled in and talk about some of the things you might have done different with the warehouse.
That sounds good to me, man.
All right, bro. Take care.
All right. Thanks, guys. Bye, Tamara.